A reading for Drawn into Danger by Keith Costelloe. As we drove down to Al Hotel, I wondered how much both Musa and I had changed. These last few days, I'd become more suspicious. It was fear that was driving us, fear of the unknown. I'd found myself trapped in this pantomime, playing a small part in a bigger picture, rather like an extra in a play, the spear carrier without a speaking part, but still essential to provide color. As an actor, I knew exactly how to play my part. I'd been a walk-on all my life, yes, in plays, but also in aspects of life. I'd never played a major role, always letting others lead, so I might as well continue doing what I knew best. What I had to do was look the part of a teacher marking his papers. We would talk in a friendly way, murmuring rhubarb, rhubarb in the background, only a few minutes to establish a veneer of friendship. JJ would then get up, pick up the other briefcase and leave. I would stay a little longer, sip my beer, then pack up my papers and walk out too. That would then be the end of my participation in this drama. Then words like pantomime and farce brought me back to life. I had to take this more seriously. I remembered what I'd been taught. Every role had to be played to perfection. You had to believe absolutely in what you were doing. Otherwise, there was no reality. It didn't matter how small a role you had if you acted it genuinely. This is one crazy thing to do. Fear was once again taking over. The gut-wrenching hole in my stomach, the feeling that you want to piss and vomit at the same time overwhelmed me. It was familiar, stage fright. Musa touched me on my shoulder. Come on, it's okay. There's much people in the hotel. No one will do anything. People are there. Okay, I said, let's do this. I forced my fingernails into the palms of my hands to make me concentrate. The show must go on. Al-Qaeda Hotel was lit by lights that accentuated its fortress-like appearance. The white walls towered above us and the shadows were dark and severe. It was imposing. With rounded towers on each side, the gatehouse led visitors directly towards the entrance, with two large arched wooden doors standing open. I walked into the deep shadow for a few seconds, following the light, pulling me into a brightly lit lobby. The contrast between the massive exterior walls and the brightly colored reception desk was a shock. Designed, no doubt, to welcome the guests to the modern world after traversing a medieval Arabian fable. I turned left and entered the jasmine-scented garden, ordering a beer as I passed the bar. The fragrance hung sweetly in the air, and I greedily breathed it in to refresh and cleanse my lungs of the arid, dry air outside this creation of paradise. I remembered it was jasmine that had welcomed me to this town so long ago. Water trickled from fountains and dribbled down rocky slopes to tinkle and splash in the pools below. It made the air feel fresh and more breathable. The Friday night diners were having a drink before dinner. I noticed quite a few tourists and some businessmen dressed in suits. People were talking and there was a general air of relaxation. Choosing a table that gave me cover with my back to the wall, I sat down and a waiter placed a bottle and a glass in front of me. Downing the first few gulps of ice cold beer was refreshing. Beer was hard to get outside of the capital and the big tourist hotels, so this was, in a way, a treat. I poured a little of the beer into the glass with surprisingly steady hands, creating a small head of foam. A couple of mouthfuls left me feeling confident and gave me the determination to continue. Putting the glass down, I sorted my papers and then placed my briefcase on the floor beside the chair on my right. It was better not to overthink, play the role and be convincing. Reading a paper one of my private students had written for me, I occasionally made a mark or wrote a comment with a red pen. I was so immersed in my marking that I was surprised by a greeting in English by a French speaker. Good evening, Dave. Ça va? Oui. We switched to English. Perhaps it would fit the role better, or so we could not be overheard and understood by too many people. Can I join you for a few minutes? Yes, of course, sit down. He sat down and put his briefcase on the ground next to mine. Would you like a beer? Garçon, un bière, s'il vous plaît. We're both playing our parts wonderfully well. Maybe I do get to have a few lines in this after all. We chatted about inconsequential things. The waiter placed a second bottle and glass on the table and returned to the bar. I told JJ I was marking some papers for a private student and asked him about his holiday plans. The normal chit-chat. As we were talking, a man about the same age as Jean-Jacques approached. Immediately my heartbeat increased. Is JJ playing a trick? I looked at him as he stepped in front of us. Bonsoir, Jean-Jacques. JJ knows him. He's French, smart clothes, short hair, military? JJ stood up and greeted him. Bonsoir, Philippe, ça va? They shook hands, smiling and obviously pleased to see each other. JJ introduced me and I stood up to shake hands. A contact. Does he have a gun? A knife? As we're shaking hands, I'm thinking he's got a knife. Nothing happened. I sat down sweating. This was totally out of script. JJ looked relaxed and they chatted away in French, ignoring me. I couldn't catch much of what they said as they spoke in a dialect of patois. So I wouldn't understand. Are they laughing at me? Philippe looked and smiled, the crooked smile of a jackal. So you're English and friends with Jean-Jacques? Yes, we teach in the same school. I'm so fucking nervous, I can hardly speak. Are you all right? You look a little red. No, I'm fine. Sorry. Why are you apologizing? Maybe it's the heat and beer. I swept my hand over the table and knocked JJ's bottle over. Beer spread quickly across the table, flooding my students' papers, which greedily soaked up the alcohol. Sorry. Shut up, you fucking moron. Dave, Philippe and I are going. Stay, finish your mocking. Jean-Jacques smirked at the mess my students' papers were in. God, he's so smug. Without offering to clear up, he picked up my briefcase, said, bonsoir, and the two of them walked out of the garden. What a fucking disaster. I had to breathe slowly to calm down. The waiter came over, mopped up the beer and asked if I wanted another one. No, I answered in English, my brain shutting down. It was over. I picked up the ruined papers and grabbed JJ's briefcase with my hands shaking, then got up and walked, head held high, to my car. At last, sitting in what I felt was a safe place, I pounded the steering wheel, releasing the fear and anger. The pain helped.